I'm here today to talk to you guys about vulnerability and the power that vulnerability has in building and growing really, really powerful brands that can have a really big impact on people's lives, but also on your business. I'll explain a little bit why we're talking about this. This is a brief story I'm going to share with you guys to lead into the topic. Domino's Pizza is one of the biggest fast food chains in the world, 7th largest chain, one of the biggest pizza delivery services out there. And back in 2010, they had a really big problem, and the really big problem was their pizza kind of sucked. And people were taking to social media and making their opinion heard that it tastes like cardboard and it's horrible, and it started to be a really, really big business problem for them. So this brand could have done two things. They could have started to be defensive about it, kind of, reject the fact that people were complaining about their pizza. They could have launched a real quick advertisement campaign to kind of highlight that it's actually not that bad, but they didn't do that. Instead, their CEO and the whole team at Domino's Pizza, they actually embraced the fact that customers were having a problem with their products, and they made themselves very, very vulnerable by going out there and saying, look, we heard you. You are giving us the metaphorical middle finger when it comes to our pizza. We're not going to get defensive about it. We're actually going to acknowledge that our food sucks. Most importantly, they didn't just stop there. They actually took the time with a really, really big team to go out, sit down with customers, talk to them, try to really, really understand what was wrong. And their CMO came back after that period of time and said, you know what? We've heard you guys, and we've made some really, really big changes. So they went out. Obviously, they redid their recipe. They started to create a whole digital experience that allowed you to actually track from the moment your pizza goes into the oven, when does it come out, when does it go into the delivery track, and when does it arrive at your door. They started to experiment with a real cool online experience. They are playing around with the idea of very cool delivery services like autonomous little vehicles that kind of deliver your pizza. So they're very much at the forefront of reinventing their brand, their experience, and really taking the learnings that they've gotten from all their customers about where their vulnerabilities are to reinvent their brand and the promise that they're putting out on the market. Now, you might ask, well, it sounds like a lot of money going into recreating all these experiences and building a different type of brand. Has that actually done anything for them? Well, it's given them $12 billion in additional market value. So the Domino's turnaround story, I would encourage you guys to kind of look that up. There's tons of material out there, videos and books being written about it, that actually explain how a brand that had become very, very vulnerable in the market dove into that topic, accepted the challenge, and turned it around. So 12 billion market value sounds great, right? But you might ask, well, what does it do for me other than giving me a better pizza? Imagine you're back in 2010, and somebody gave you $1,000. And they would say, look, there's a lot of interesting companies out there. We're giving you $1,000, and you can decide which brand you want to invest it in the stock market. Just give me a few ideas. Where would you have placed your bets? Anyone, any brand that they would invest in back in 2010? Tesla. I've heard a search engine here, Google. Normally, the first responses you get. Let me show you this. If you had invested $1,000 into Domino's Pizza in 2010, you would now own almost $23,000 8 years later. And they by far outperform the performance of the Googles and the Amazons and Facebooks of this world when it comes to their market cap. So a massive success story that all started by them embracing the challenge of making themselves vulnerable to the complaints of their customers.